All right, here's Scott Laverty, Chapman head coach, going into 12th season, but ABCA board member, was our Division III chair, and was previously at Redlands and UC Riverside. So, Lav, thanks for jumping on with me.
Awesome. Thanks, Ryan.
This has been in the works for a while. We've talked about this every year in Omaha, and so finally got you on. And I do feel like you and I are very similar, because I feel like you and I both can kind of bridge the old guard and history of coaching to some of the newer stuff that's going on too.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we both kind of got started as young coaches. And so we've had a lot of experience, gosh, this is going to be like 26 years a head coach, so, but I don't feel that old. And so being a young coach, I think it helps you, again, continue to bridge that gap. I'm still young enough to want to, understand what the guys are doing today, meet them at their level. And that's something that we as coaches always have to be cognizant of, because when we stop wanting to do that, then that's probably the time we should retire.
And I don't think most people know that I did play for Lav in the summer of 1997 in independent ball. So that's where we got connected. And you were just finishing up, and I was kind of just finishing up playing at that point too. So it's funny how the universe works in the baseball community.
Yeah, it was awesome. That was a great year in Evansville, and that's what really that's why, I got the boot, and they said no, we don't got a spot for you anymore. But Greg Taggart, our coach, said, hey, I need a coach, man. I need somebody that stays, and I'm like, well, mate, this is kind of what I think maybe I'd want to do. I want to stay in the game, so let me give it a whirl, and I enjoyed it, and went back to UCR, where I played, and started coaching there, and the rest is history.
Did you have any inklings when you were playing that you might have an interest in doing it? Because I didn't. I really didn't. I was so focused on playing, and that was kind of what my dad and brother did for a living. So for me, it was more, luckily I had 2 classes left to finish at Evansville, and so I got the bug that way. But if you would have asked me when I was playing, there's no way I would have gotten into coaching.
Yeah, no, I kind of had the inkling. I knew I just loved the game. I didn't, I wanted to try and find a way. I was extremely lucky, getting being able to work at UCR and then getting the job at Redlands, because I don't know, the high school guys, I just give them all the credit. I mean, that's just a thankless job in a lot of places, and it takes a lot of work. So I really appreciate those guys and all the work they do. I feel fortunate to be able to build my teams at the college level and go from there. So I felt really lucky that I got to think, but I did kind of have the inkling that I want to stay in the game somehow.
Plus, you were around some really good coaches too.
Yeah,
I think that helps along your path. You along the way are around some really good coaches.
Yeah, no, my freshman year I played for Jerry Kindle, ABCA Hall of Famer, at the University of Arizona. And then when I transferred to UC Riverside, playing for Hall of Famer Jack Smitherin, his longtime assistant Doug Smith, so absolutely. And you get that same feeling that I do when you have somebody impact your life that much, you want to pay it forward. And that's part of that inkling is that, hey, I want to pay this forward. Do the same things maybe that these guys did for me.
And is that what drives you now? With your own guys. And I know that, and I'm asking you this so other people can hear it, but that's what drives you now.
Oh, absolutely. We're here. I've been fortunate. I mean, we've won games, we've done some things, but the thing that I'm most proud of, especially now being, starting 26 years in, is seeing what all these guys do. They have families, they have kids that are having success, they're having success. That's ultimately, that's why we do it. That's the success that I saw my coaches give to myself and all my teammates, and so wanting to pay that forward for sure. We all want to win, absolutely. I want to win another national championship, but ultimately, it's based on that foundation of just wanting to do good by the game.
And you and I have had multiple convos in Omaha about how you do things. And the one thing that we've always talked about is what you call kind of your prevent offense. Like when you get behind, just talk about that a little bit. You don't have to dive into all of it if you don't want to, but no. I think it's a great idea for when you get behind.
Yeah. So, there's a bunch of different things that you can do, but, when we try and, if you're getting behind or you're getting somebody that's really, pitching well against you, we want to get pitch count up. We want to see pitches. We want to, do some of the things that we can make it work, because everybody knows that, usually the bullpen is the weaker of the pitching staff. And so if you're trailing, you want to get into that bullpen to try and, make things, come back. So, talking to the guys about, hey, if the first pitch is yours, but if it's not the one that, if it's not a strike, then you take till you get a strike. And then 3-1, it's obviously a hitter's count, but if we're behind, sometimes I make them take it, because it's going to take probably two more pitches for that pitcher to throw, and get his pitch count up, because you get, 3-1, if you take it, he called strike. Okay, that's okay. But then probably 3-2 is going to be a foul ball. There's going to be a foul ball in there. And then the next play is going to be either ball 4 or action play, but you made that pitcher throw more pitches. And so, trying to do some of those things. But then also, I mean, just the other things, drag bunt, do whatever you can, to try and start something, get something going.
How do you grade that out with them when they first get to you? Because what a kid maybe thinks is a good pitch and what an actual good pitch is, how do you grade that out for them when they first get to you?
Yeah. Well, one of the first things that I do with hitters that first come into our program, whether they're a freshman or a transfer, is leave them alone. Let me see what they do well, what we might be able to improve upon, because especially offensively, our best coaching partner is failure. When they're struggling, then they're going to want to come to us and go, okay, Coach Lav, what's going on, man? I can't hit. And so I think letting them have that voice, I think that's important, because especially today, getting on a little tangent here, especially today, all of these kids have had private instruction, so they've had a hitting coach that's helped them, and so we, as now their college coach, we can't just say, no, we're not going to listen to all that stuff. I need to, like I said, I leave them alone. I say, hey, what are two, you had this hitting coach that you really like? And they go, yeah. I said, what are the 2 or 3 things that he talked with you about that really worked for you? So that I can look for those things too. And then we can build upon that. So I think it really, especially offensively, is building that rapport early, to help them now when you want them to do stuff. They can listen. And then the other piece to this, Ryan, is that really helping them understand why. What? Take a 3-1 pitch? What do you want me to take a 3-1 pitch, coach? That's supposed to be the best pitch I'm supposed to hit. Yeah, but we're down 2-0. This guy's dealing. He's really good. We know he's good. We need to get his pitch count up. We can't let him have easy innings and pitch into the 8th or 9th inning. We need to get into the bullpen to give ourselves an opportunity. And so helping them see that, okay, yeah, if I take this, then like I said, more than likely you're going to get, so 3-1, there's going to be one pitch that if it's strike 2, then great. If it's ball 4, then hey, we're on base. But if it's strike 2, inevitably there's going to be another pitch that's probably a foul ball, and then another pitch that's an action play. So if we keep doing that, he threw 3 to 4 more pitches in just one at bat. And if you can do that a couple of times over an inning, or just get that one guy on, well, now 12 to 15 pitch inning turns into a 15 to 22 pitch inning, and changes the scope of how we're doing. So again, building that rapport is the starting point to get them, and then helping them understand why we're doing it. Don't just say, just don't play the king position here and go do it because I said so. No, this is why. I think that's key.
It's almost like you'd have, okay, here's your swing trainer coach, but then you're the competition coach.
Yep.
So
yeah, no, absolutely. Because again,
go to that person for your swing training, but then you're going to have to go to somebody else to learn how to compete in games.
Right. And that's when I think, and I really kudos to all you individualized coaches out there, your hitting coaches, pitching coaches, because a lot more of you are going to live competition and watching your students play. And I think that's key. You need to see what you're talking about and how it translates into the game, and then you can help them even more. So I know a lot of the guys out here are doing that more. Kudos to them. I think that's awesome. Ultimately we're all in it, as we just talked about, we're all in it for the players. If all I had to do is write Brownlee in the lineup for 40 games over the course of the year, and I don't have to say much to you because you got it all dialed in, I'm like, great. And that means that gives me time to work with the other guys, and make sure we're on track as a team.
Do you consider yourself a West Coast offense? You guys had 39 sack bunts this spring, I saw. Do they even use that term anymore?
I don't know. But I love I love to bunt, hit and run, do all those things. I mean, we won the national championship in 2019 because we bunted. We executed bunts and they threw them away, basically. Bobbled them, threw them away. That led to us, winning the national championship. And so, but what a lot of people forget too is that bunting is a way, seeing hand-eye coordination, it gets us out of funks too. It helps batters put bat to ball. So when we can bunt, then helps you, with your offensive game, just as an individual player too, being able to see the ball and hit the ball. So, but it's actually one of my favorite questions that I get recruits ask me all the time. They go, "Coach, what type of coach are you? Do you bunt? Do you hit and run? Do you do this?" Well, you tell me what my team's like. Do we have the speed to be able to steal bases? Well, we're going to steal bases. Do we not need to bunt as much because we just rake? Well, then, we might not bunt as much. Last couple of years, we've had some good offensive teams, but we've had some really good bunters too. And we can safety squeeze. We can do some of those things that just are momentum plays. And that's the thing that I think I deal with more than anything is momentum. We want to grab the momentum and keep it. We've all been a part of those games that are ups and downs. If we can keep the momentum on our side, that helps helps us track the game as we're going through.
How long have you used safety squeeze? I loved it. I mean, that was one of my favorite things, especially if guys were struggling, because it's not an automatic RBI, but pretty good. And it gave some guys some confidence too. Too. And I agree with the tracking piece. I think everybody should work on bunting just from a tracking standpoint and figuring out how to try to get the ball onto your barrel. But I felt like safety was. You don't see it as much anymore, but I felt like it was a great play.
Yeah, no, I mean, our second baseman, last year, led the regular season in bunts, sacrifice bunts, and he had 4 in one game against Pomona Pitzer, ended up going to the World Series, and 2 of them were safety squeezes, and you can't stop it. They're first and third, and they knew it was coming. You can't stop it if you put it down.
There's only one way to stop it, and we had to add this in. You have to do an early break with the first baseman.
That's
the only way. It's a timing play with the pitcher. That's the only way you can stop that. We had to. There were a bunch of teams in our league that would safety almost automatically, where we had to add that in with a timing play with the first baseman, and just that first one would hold it a little bit.
Yeah,
it wouldn't always stop it, but at least got them second guessing if they're going to.
No, that absolutely. And then we would talk if somebody tries to do that, then we just steal second. And then we'll just take it from there and go and see what happens.
And that's the fun part of the management piece of it is figuring those things out. That's the fun part about being in a dugout is figuring out those little pieces of it.
Yeah. But I think, it just depends on what we have. But, let's take away the SEC, the Big Ten, the ACC. Let's take away that 1%. I mean, everybody else, Division II, the mid-majors, Division III, I mean, we still need to play the game. You still need to move runners. You still need to do those things. And the thing about a safety squeeze, whether it's 0 or 1 out, I mean, you score a run and you got another one in scoring position. So now it only takes 1 hit to score another run. So now you've got a multiple run inning. Because I talk about no matter what I think my team is, whether we can really hit, or if we need to do some of those things a little bit more. I mean, if you score 1 run an inning, that's 9. You score 9 runs a game, that's pretty good. You're going to win a lot of games that way.
Yeah, especially the last couple of years with some of the rules changes that have gone with roster management, and you and I are in the same camp as far as trying to be loyal to the players in your program. You're on the forefront of it right now. How are you dealing with everything that's going on?
Yeah, it's tough. I feel we're at a precipice here where we're starting to over the next year, even moving into this season, we're going to really find out some things, especially at the Division I level with roster size that are going to start to trickle down. But it's tough, and there's a lot of things that have led to where we're at. Whether it's just the roster size Division I, absolutely. The Major League Draft has been a huge impact that people don't realize. Losing 20 rounds of players that aren't going to play professional baseball anymore. So now they're staying in school. So that's trickling down and pushing things down. And just the reality that most people, think, oh, well, I'm good enough. I can play college baseball. Well, the numbers are, fewer than 8% of high school players play in an NCAA program, Division I, II, or III. So when you compound the draft with more players staying in college, then you compound the roster size staying up, but then everything trickling down, and putting it in a position where there's just a lot of good players that are left out there, and then compound, people playing 6 years with COVID, which will end this year. So it's been really tough, and it's really worked its way down to us this year. I've had more interest from transfer portal players. When you're talking, there was 5,000 players in the transfer portal. That's 160 teams or something like that worth of players. Where are they all going to go? I don't. There's just not enough room, and so it's really tough. And it's tough that we want, like you said, we want to be loyal to our players, but we want the players to be loyal as well. And so I don't, we're going to have some answers, I think, here pretty soon as far as how rosters get set with Division I level and different things like that. But it's been a rocky road for sure.
And in a perfect world, I mean, your roster's pretty traditional with a lot of ingrown guys where you have older guys, but then a lot of freshmen that are working their way into it.
Yeah, no, I think, a lot of us at Division III especially, but even some of the Division IIs, still have a kind of a traditional roster where we recruit freshmen. We have, a couple of key freshmen that work their way in, but you have some older guys that have, sat for 2 years, paid their dues, gotten better, gotten stronger, and, now they've earned a spot. So that's still been, kind of the issue, but like I said, it's even trickled down to us. I mean, I've got four transfers coming in, of guys that, hey, we had positions that we thought we needed, and that we couldn't pass up. So it's it is a little bit of a change when you can go into the transfer portal and see somebody that's been in college for 2 years and playing for a decent school, and maybe not playing a whole lot, but they're still at that place. They're bigger, faster, stronger. That's especially at some of the D2s, NAIAs. That's a big draw that they want the mid majors. I mean, we've talked about some of the mid majors that all they do is recruit the portal. I thought that was ridiculous to start, but then I'm like, well, actually, that's not a bad idea. I get it. I understand why now that you can take a 19-year-old kid that's already spent a year at LSU in a red shirt or non-winner role, and he's throwing 92, and okay, well, that's better than the 17-year-old freshman that's coming in that's 88 that we need to still try and develop. So it's crazy.
But you also were a transfer, also.
Yeah.
I mean, it worked for you.
Absolutely. Too. Yeah, absolutely. No, absolutely. And at Arizona, that was Coach Kendall was awesome. I just had some guys in front of me. He was honest with me, and it's like, hey, I don't know when you're going to get the opportunity to play. And so for me to do that and transfer to UCR and get those opportunities was the only reason I got to play professional baseball. I think if I'd have stayed in Arizona and maybe only played, as a senior type of deal, that I wouldn't have the same opportunities that I do now, for sure.
I'm working youth camps, and there's a kid that has played for the North Carolina Baseball Academy, but he was at junior college the last 2 years. And I asked him, what are you going to do? He's going to East Carolina. He's going to play on the club team. He's not playing for East Carolina's. He's going to play club baseball for East Carolina.
Yeah, that's just a byproduct of there's just not space. He's good player. I mean, I'm still, I still have 24 high school players that I've been accepted to Chapman. Hey, I'd like to try out. I'm like, I've got 4 of you. I don't know. I can't have a 75 man roster, and I have to make a decision. At some point, I just think some of these guys are better than you. Whereas, like I said, I think there's lots of the junior college was affected. I think especially here in California too, that there was no place to go because people are taking 1 year transfers in the portal that still have 4 years of eligibility or 3 years of eligibility, and maybe some of these junior college players only have 2 left. It's making a big difference. So, it's hard.
Has technology made it easier or harder to recruit?
That's a great question. I don't think anybody's easier in the sense that one of the most important things that I think that people don't realize, just in the general recruiting thing, is one of the most important things that we can do as coaches is to say no. to identify players that we don't think are fits for our program, whether it's because we don't think they're good enough, whether we think that they're not good enough academically to get in our school or to be able to pay for it, or that we just might have younger, better players in that spot, and it's not a spot that we need. And I think people forget the power of that right now, just for us as coaches, but then players as well, because players then can move on. Okay, hey, Chapman's got two guys there that are young and they're playing. It's not going to be a good fit for me, so that now I can go find the place that needs me, and go from there. So. So technology, being able to, look at video, look at TrackMan data, just go on X now anymore. And if anybody calls it, I think most everybody still calls it Twitter, right? Sorry, Elon Musk. And so, and watch all the stuff, that we can to be able to identify and help.
It seems a little more impersonal now too, though. Just, it seems like, it's almost like the entire country is at your fingertips as far as players.
Yeah.
But you're losing some of that personal piece of seeing kids, maybe being around them a little bit more. I know it is the way it is now, but it just seems like it's become a little more impersonal. And I'm not saying for you, I'm just saying in general for the industry itself, it just seems like it's become way less personal.
I would say, no, I would agree, because even for us, one of the things early on in my career, working with my assistant coaches, as we would go out and see kids, before we gave them any type of offer or guarantee to try and come play for us, we wanted two coaches to see them. We wanted two different eyes, on them to see, what they were like, how they did things, and if it's somebody that we really thought was in our program. We still try and do that, but it's with being able to watch video and do and talk to people. It's not. Like I said, it has become a little bit more impersonal, because we can make those decisions, based on seeing them, talking to them on the phone. Do Zoom. We like to do Zoom a lot, especially for us, where we might do an initial Zoom with parents and the player at home before they come on a trip, because maybe mom and dad both can't come. Maybe only mom can come or dad can come, and so we can at least have some sort of contact before they come to campus for a visit. But it definitely has it's made it easier for us to do some things, but absolutely, I think it has lost a little bit of that personal touch.
You work the Stanford camp. I know you guys are high academic. You've worked it every year, haven't you?
Yeah. Yep. So Coach Devlett from our staff is going up to these last couple sessions here. They've always done a great job. Head first show ball, all those camps have been good for us. They've you're seeing a lot of players over the course of a short amount of time to be able to identify and give them feedback. And again, well, the most important thing is that people don't really just say no. Sorry, we don't have a spot for you. And then we can move forward with the players that we do, think might fit our academic schedule, the finances, and then be a good enough player to help us, achieve our goals as well.
You guys have always pitched at a high level as well. What do you feel like you guys do well on the development side for pitchers?
I think it's a little bit of how we are as just coaches, is that we're not cookie cutter coaches. So, and our pitching coach, Dave Edwards, I think he's the best in the country. When you can look, he was here with my predecessor too. And so when I got the job at Chapman, he was the first one. I'm like, "You're staying." He's like, "Okay, I'll stay." And because I'm a hitting guy, his pitching guy was perfect. And he's just amazing. I mean, when you look at his track record, we've had 14, pitchers drafted since 1999. He was here at 2003. I think there's a couple that weren't, but you're talking, 10 or 11 of those guys are his at a Division III program. That's a one every other year. That's pretty good. With our latest Nick Garcia in AAA, knocking on the door to be a big leaguer, and so, but I think his key is not being that cookie cutter coach. We're not driveline. We're not crossover swing. We're not this. We're not that. Can you do those things? Absolutely. Again, it comes, so many of these kids have had influences that have helped them get to where they are. So we don't want to just knock that and say, no, just come in and do this now, especially for us at Division III, where we don't have some of the resources, that Division I and things that can, we don't have a pitching lab and some of these other things where we can, start to, implement maybe more specific things that maybe that pitching coach wants. We still have to work within the confines of what we got. And so I think that's always been one of our strengths is that talking with the kids, finding out what they're doing well, and then go from there. And then inevitably, one of Coach Edwards' biggest things is getting guys to use their base, using their lower half. I mean, that's usually a key. We believe, that over the course of a 4-year period, it's a 4-year build up. If they come in throwing, 86, 87, we believe they can get to 92 to 94. But it's going to take time to do it correctly. And the first, 2 to 4 miles an hour is going to come from just getting stronger. They're holding weight. The kids are, getting a little stronger. But then that next piece, that next boost really comes from now maximizing your mechanics and especially your lower half with that newfound strength. I'm stronger. Let's use everything better, to develop that thing. And then also one of my favorite drills that he does, because he uses the radar gun a lot, and if there's a day where one of the guys, maybe we've got a 90-mile an arm and today's in the bullpen and it's 86, 87, it's just not, feeling, I'll just say, okay, just throw the ball as hard as you can. I don't care where it goes. Just go back and just hit 90 again. They'll do that, and then they'll say, okay, now settle back in the strike zone. And it was 86, 87. Now it's back to 88, 89. And it's, again, I think sometimes we've trained to throw so many strikes, but we forgot how to throw hard. There's still got to be, some aggression in there, within the confines of your mechanic to throw hard. And so I think that's always been one of the things that he does really well.
How do you have those conversations with the guys? Everybody's trying to rush velocity. How do you have that conversation with them that it is a process, especially to do it healthily, where you're going to keep your arm healthy and also gain velocity? How do you have that conversation with them to be patient?
Yeah. You show them. One of the great things that he shows them. So we might have that guy 86, 87, but he'll say, okay, throw it hard, get it away. And then they'll get into a pen where, okay, here's the day. I hit 90 today. They're like, oh, wow, this is great. So you show them that it's in there, that term that we use as coaches. So it's in there, 90's in there, and so you show them that it's in there, so that, okay, yeah, I can do that. I hit 90 today. Okay. But now great when they're back just to sitting and pitching, in a game, in an inner squad or whatever, and it's 87, 86, 87, 88, they're okay with it. They're going, okay, yeah, it's a process. I see that I can throw 90, but I know that I can't throw 90 throwing strikes yet, consistently. So I'm still building it up, So I think that's definitely one of the things that the coach has done really well to help them, is show them that they got it in there.
Same thing with hitters as far as maybe ball coming off the bat, but also not losing barrel awareness.
Yeah. Oh, man, hitting. It is, especially when you're dealing with, let's face it, guys that are Division II, Division III, and that aren't the cream of the crop. They're there because they're good players, but they're probably still missing something. They need to be a little bit better offensively. They need to be a little bit better defensively. And so it's really finding that thing. Lots of times it's offensively because it's the toughest thing to do in any sport. And so, for me, the first thing is really trying to keep them, understanding that there are certain things that you have to do to be successful, and not everybody gets there the same way. So you got to get your barrel to contact. You got to get your hands to contact. You can't let the barrel lead. You got to have a good base. We cannot use our base as college players with an aluminum bat. You can get away with a weaker lower half, but just helping them understand that there's certain things that you need to do to be successful, and then helping them understand those and how they can get there. I think is the key, because like I said, they don't some have a little bit open stance. Some people like to stand on top of the plate. Some people like to be a little bit more off. Just trying to help them understand what's going on, and then also help them understand that depending on where they're at, like guys that stand on top of the plate, you don't have to hit to all fields. I mean, if you're standing on top of the plate, that's probably taking away the opposite field for you, right? You want to, so the pitch on the outside corner, you should drive up the middle. If you drive and maybe it doesn't mean you won't hit the ball to the right side, but that's probably a mistake. You were probably really late. You want to maximize your strengths, and that's okay. Coaches, we get all caught up with some of those things, but hey, if they're putting it between the white line in their strength,
results matter.
Yeah, and so that helps them go, okay, well, I don't have to, do everything. If I can just foul off the outside pitch or hit it up the middle for a base hit, well, then now that pitcher is going to come back in and say, okay, well, he hit that too, so let me try and sneak it in, and that's your strength. That's the only way you get back to your strength, as being able to do that. So,
in the course of a week, how often are guys throwing the bases defensively?
Um, a couple of times for us, because we do a lot of live situations. That's one of the things that's changed for me, especially since I've been at Chapman. Because we talked about competing early on. I mean, to me, we are getting players today over the last 15 years. We are getting high school players, transfers, any players that are more technically sound than they've ever been. Because they've had their individual hitting coach, individual pitching coach, whatever. So we don't have to teach them as much. I don't have to break down an infielder as much. They've got good, solid mechanics. The swing is better. The pitching mechanics are better. And so what's got lost in the translation of recruiting and this individual mentality is the game. Moving a runner from second to third and the importance of that, because we don't do that in scout ball. Scout ball, we're trying to drive them in, in showcase ball, we're trying to drive them in, I want to show them what I can do. It's not hit a ground ball to second base and, everybody's going to know, no, I need to show them what I can do. And so we had to flip the script and compete more during practice to help them, go, hey, this is important. Run on second, nobody out, move them, get it done. I don't care how you get it done. Results matter, like you said earlier. And so
when you set that up, so is it everybody hit with a runner at second base, no outs? Are you doing live ball, dead ball? How are you setting that up from a team component?
Yeah, so we'll have a team hitting. Usually it's 7 guys is a good number. Per team, and then a full defense out there playing defense. We're charting it. We're helping them defensively understand what they need to do. It's a great coaching atmosphere because we can break down everything that goes down right there. But yeah, so I mean, first round, run on second, nobody out, and it's usually one of us coaches pitching, and we're throwing fastball, breaking ball, changeup. We're trying to get you out. We're throwing in, trying to keep you from, make you pull the ball to third base so you don't get the job done. And so putting all those live scenarios, and then when they put it in play, then balls go to bases, based on what's going on. There's hit and run rounds. There's, first and third rounds, all kinds of different things that we do to emulate that competition schedule, because to me, that's what they're lacking in what they're growing up with, is they're forgetting the importance of the game. Like I said, move a runner, drive a runner in from third with less than 2 outs. Hey, the most important thing is that guy gets in, not that you get a hit.
Then also on the pitch and catching side of that, how much conversation are you having with them with the game within the game as far as pitching in those situations? Yeah.
So we have a pitcher on the mound every single time. So we'll have a group, they might be going, we might be doing something else, working picks in the pen with somebody, and then there's a group on the field, and there's a group maybe doing some conditioning stuff with coach or whatever. But we're able to have all those conversations, with them on the mound. Okay, here's a double. Remember this, where you're going. So you're still able to have all those conversations. With
it just
those
always drove me nuts. Base open and pitchers and catchers let them run it, but then they would give in rather than.
Yep.
Throw 3 in the other batter's box and see if a guy will chase. Because, again, you talked about it with that. In showcase ball, guys really want to get guys in those situations where guys are probably going to expand the zone in those situations at the plate if you just go off enough with your pitches, because they do want to get guys in and their heart's in the right place. But, again, you can kind of take that aggressiveness away from them.
Yeah. Again, working with Coach Edwards, he's changed my mind a little bit on some things over our now 10 years that we've been working together. But walks is one of them. Like, we don't want to walk people, and you don't. But sometimes there's a good walk. Like I said, throw 3, and if he doesn't chase, he doesn't chase.
That's a great walk, because now you got a double play situation.
Now you got, and so, but here's the key to it: it's don't give up hits. That's his thing. If you walk 3 or 4 a game and only give up 5 or 6 hits, you're probably not going to get hurt. If you walk 3 or 4 a game and give up 10 or 12 hits, you're going to get hurt. And sometimes it can be the right walk. Again, one of the things that that was really neat to learn as I started working with Dave was, you had those batters where a pitcher just comes up and freaking, he's been dealing, and then it's just like 4 balls nowhere near, right? And you're going, what the heck's going on? Well, he'll read that, like the first 2 are not even close. So he'll look, okay, what's the next batter? Because we're just, he's obviously funked on this one. Let's see, what's the next batter? So what do I need to get the next batter out? Okay, well, I need the slider to get the next batter out. So the next 2 pitches are going to be slider. I don't care if it's ball 3, ball 4, they're going to be slider, because we want him to get the feel so that he can get the next guy out, which was, brilliant. And as it turns out, because I've seen it work a zillion times now. Because okay, yeah, that was a good hitter. It was our 3-hitter. We need the slider to get the 4-hitter out with 2 outs. And so yeah, we walked him, but we throw good pitches, pop up. A good 4-hitter pops up the slider. We get out of the inning.
You managing the game from the dugout, or are you coaching third?
Dugout.
Have you always done that?
No, I coached third early on, but as I started, and it's been a while, even kind of my last few years at Redlands, I've just gotten some really, really good young coaches, and that's one of the things that I'm really proud of is helping develop them and try and move them on. I've got 5 assistant coaches that have been head coach at one point or another, at a college program, and that's something I'm extremely, extremely proud of and helping guys move on to full-time assistant jobs or whatever. And so they're going to need those experiences. They're still, even at Division I level, I don't know if it's 50% of the guys, the head coaches that are out there. Lots of times they're putting those assistants out there.
It's less and less now.
Yeah,
I just don't see it as much anymore.
Yep. And so I want to, and then part
how
of it was
coach them through that. It's not an easy thing. The game goes really fast. So how are you coaching through? And my brother and I argue about this. Said coaching first base doesn't matter. It actually does. But how are you coaching them through their positioning and some of that stuff to help them slow the game down? During
our live practice, I make them coach third and go through it. And so we can talk through things, say, hey, this is a live scenario. You're coaching these rounds. These are rounds that you're going to have something first and third is a tough one, right? If we're getting a fly ball or we're getting something coming in, or I got to watch the guy at first and I got to watch the batter runner, so they can see those things in practice and we can coach them through that, as well. And then letting them make mistakes. I mean, they're going to get somebody thrown out of home. Probably wouldn't have sent that guy. The ball was hit hard right at him. You got a little excited. Probably wouldn't have sent that guy. But that's not going to be the difference. Very, very often between actually you won and lost the game. There's probably 10 more opportunities that you had to do something. So it's just the one that gets magnified because it's the coach. That's a tough thing. But just like anything, we've got to let them have their successes and failures to be able to learn from it. But also I liked being in the dugout because I could. It's easier to talk to hitters and then also manage the game, instead of yelling from third, I want number 7 to pinch hit, trying to get somebody, so you can have things set up. Cause more and more, kids don't react to, a last minute, hey, Tommy, you're going to hit now. Well, I didn't even swing yet. How can I hit? So trying to be ahead of that. Hey, Tommy, swing a bat, just stay loose. We might use you here sometime soon. A little bit easier as things roll, especially if you have kind of an inning where you get 5 or 6 batters. And then the next thing you're going, oh gosh, we're back in this game. And there might be a pinch hit opportunity for me, at somewhere to break this game open, and things like that. So that's a little bit easier to manage from the dugout.
How much are you talking to hitters during the game?
Not a lot. I try not to, because think about it. How many times have you somebody yell from the dugout, oh, you're pulling off the ball, and like the next ball is an absolute rod because they say no. Usually it takes, they can't adjust that fast in a live scenario. So hopefully we can do some adjustments, at bat to at bat. But I try not to. Everything else is set up.
Is it more talking the game situationally then, if we're going to talk about anything?
Yeah, absolutely. Because all of our individual prep is done throughout the course of the week, and we have to let that be what it is, to get there. Because then we're gonna, we're gonna screw them up more, and then it means a little bit more than maybe when you finally say, hey, you are coming off a little bit after 2 at bats. And again, then they have that failure piece that's helping them really open up and listen. But it's always something that we have a direct key to fix. That, hey, this is something that's, maybe, one of your biggest, problems that you have, you pull your front side or whatever it might be, and we know how to fix it, and so you can give them those keys real quick, to help them fix it.
And along the lines of that too, how much of it is going off scouting reports or going off what the player's strength is?
Player strength for us. We just don't have, we don't have access to synergy and different things like that, that so many people do. And more D3 programs, we still haven't got kind of some of those things yet. So we don't necessarily have the video capabilities to watch all 3 starters that we're going to be facing this week. So we're still focusing on the player strengths, having information. We'll have seen, again, one of the things with Division III most of the times, especially once we get into conference, that we'll have seen at least 1 or 2 of their starters. They're very rarely that somebody turns over a full, starting pitching staff. So we're going to have seen somebody, in the past and have some information on that, and then at least have a little bit of scouting information on, okay, what do they throw, their approximate velocity, so that we have that information. But then again, focus on what our strengths are, because we just don't have access to that some of that technology yet, to get that much further ahead.
Is Division III the purest form of college baseball? I think it is, just from a recruiting and development standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, when you're talking about the student athlete, we're I don't know how UCLA is going to study. I mean, UCLA is one of the top, academic institutions in the country. And how are these kids?
I've said this. Those schools are about to find out what those of us in the Midwest and Upper Midwest have had to deal with for the last 50 years.
Yeah.
From a travel standpoint.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
It's coming for you. It's going to be a culture shock for them, but those of us that spent most of their life coaching in that part of the world where travel took up 90% of your time in the spring.
Yeah. Yeah. And so having the opportunity to be at D3, which I love, I don't plan on leaving anytime soon. I'm in a great spot. But having the kids have academic success, have the time to do their interests, but then also, strive to be the best baseball player that they can be. I talk to our recruits that you're going to be around like-minded student athletes that prioritize baseball, but also their academics, and we can do both. That's a life lesson. The only thing you understand is that one is more important, at different times. When it's midterms, well, yeah, I'm going to be studying, and doesn't mean I'm not going to practice, but I'm going to go to practice, and then I'm going to spend my extra time with my group getting ready for my midterm, and then the next week midterm's over. Gosh, and now I can, I don't even have homework, so I just go to class, and now my extra time can be spent with coach with extra swings and different things like that. And that's a life lesson. That's what happens in the job market. You get a big project, you got to stay late, and then you do well on the project and boss lets you go home, so understanding that balance, is key. But that's absolutely one of the things that we get to do at Division III for sure.
What have you learned as a coach that you wish you'd have known as a player?
Great question. Don't be so hard on yourself. I mean, we beat ourselves up so much as players, and I tell our guys, I'll shout it from the rooftops, coaches, anybody that we talk to, the only reason that I'm in the spot that I'm in and a player's in the spot they're in is experience. I just have more experience than you. It doesn't mean I know everything. It doesn't mean that I have some of those things. It's just that I've seen more things, at this point. And that experience allows me a few more, opportunities to understand why things happened, what went on, how everything went.
Those coaches that you had, anybody before you got into coaching, were there any tips that they gave you before you got into it, or was it just trial by error?
A little bit. I mean, some of them were like, "Why do you want to coach? Why do you want to do this?"
Family. Yeah, I got it from my family. Are you sure you want to do this?
Yeah, you sure you want to do this? Yep. And so, that was the funny one. And then, be yourself.
Was it hard for you going back to UCR then? And because you were coaching guys that you played with, correct?
Yeah, no, it wasn't, because that's maybe the best advice that I got, from, some of my coaches was going, the players that you played with, don't coach them. Just be there for them, through extra batting practice, do those things, because eventually what happened was then they asked your opinion. And once they asked your opinion, then that's when you had the ability to help coach them a little bit. But the other thing, if you're in that situation where you're a grad student coming in, looking to coach players your own age, or especially guys that you coach, don't coach them, be there for them, help them. I think that's kind of one of the things that I kind of did with you guys in Evansville. I just, I said, hey,
I loved it. I loved the way you handled us.
let's go hit. We'll have groups. I'll be there for you. Let's make sure we do this, and then just get the work in, and then then guys would start asking, oh, hey, what'd you think? Did I get my hands through on that one? Oh yeah, no, I thought you really did get your hands through. And so just kind of working that way. So especially as a young coach, I think you can, the more that you can do that, because you get to be nice guy. You get to be, you don't have to be the hold accountable. You can just be, hey, what am I doing, and help them that way for sure.
Recruiting wise, you recruiting the same players at Redlands that you do at Chapman? Similar?
Similar, a little different. Chapman's academic standards keep going up. Our average incoming freshman last year was a 3.87, and I think we're getting closer to a 3.9, right now. So we're looking.
You have any wiggle room with that?
Yes. So we have, we can, that's the average. So, we can get 3.5, 3.6. But then our concern is finances because, private education isn't inexpensive, and so if they're at that 3.5, 3.6, they might not qualify for as much merit money, which is a big key for us to cut that cost of attendance down. We're generally kind of looking for those guys in those upper threes so that they can at least qualify for some merit. Then if they come from a good solid family that's done a little saving, then usually it can work. But it's definitely hard. It's the number one reason we lose recruits is because the cost of the institution, for sure.
You had mentioned what you'd like to see out of guys coming in. And again, this is the industry as a whole. Say I'm coaching a showcase team. How can I maybe teach guys the game a little bit more, teach them to compete in situations a little bit more?
Yeah.
So they're ready when they get to school.
Yeah. I think reminding them, and it's switching a little bit. Again, we're getting more and more, travel programs that are and tournaments that you're playing to win. Again, so they're playing for rings. That's great. I think that's great. Let's play to win because that's what sports is about. I mean, it stinks that somebody's got to lose, but that's part of it too. And learning from that. So I think that's a big thing that when you play to win, then those things become important. Scoring runs. So if Tommy went 0 for 2 with a walk and a sacrifice fly, man, that's a good day. Maybe scored a run on that walk and he drove in a run. That's, it's how many do you score and how many do you drive in? And once we as recruiters are seeing play to win again, okay, well, we can extrapolate from, okay, yeah, he had 2 good at bats. He hit one hard, just missed it, maybe flew out to center field, hit a hard ground ball, the 6 hole, the shortstop made a good play on, and then he had the walk and the sacrifice fly, so we can go, okay, those were 4 solid at bats. So we don't have to look at, well, how many hits did he get? What is batting average? All those things. No, he drove one in and he scored one. And, on the walk, he stole a base, whatever it might be. So I think that as long as we continue to do
I would like
more,
to see running total, though. I would like to see running total over the course of a summer, not trying to win this immediate tournament, almost like conferences.
Yeah.
I think that would be a very large undertaking for somebody that wanted to do that, where it's not just each individual weekend, where basically it's your body of work over the entire summer.
Yeah.
And then, yes, that last couple weeks, then, you might want to get into it a little bit. I just would like to see more of that rather than 6 to 7 games on a weekend and kids are getting beat up, worn down. I would like to see it where it's your entire body of work over the course of a summer, not just individual weekends.
Absolutely. Though they play way too much. They play way too much. It's crazy. And the financial impact on families is crazy. I don't understand, good on you for finding whatever way you can as a parent, because most of them are working extremely hard to make that, happen for their children, which is, something that we would all want to do as much as we could. But if we can mitigate some of that, some of the play, the stress on the player, the mental stress. Now that's when you're talking about all those games, the mental fortitude that it takes to go to Phoenix this weekend, and then Georgia the next weekend, and then back to even it's in California, but we got to go 2 hours to San Diego. That's a lot.
But it does get you ready for college season too, though.
Yeah,
I see both sides of all of that.
Yeah. No, it does.
And I'm a little bit of a traditionalist when it comes to a lot of that stuff, but obviously I do feel like the game overall is in a great place because of everyone that we've got involved with it. I just would always like to see some tweaks here and there, just to, again, trying to get kids ready to go to the next level if they're going to be able to do that. But you also have the counterpoint to that where it's like, okay, a lot of these kids aren't going to go play college baseball anyway, so let them enjoy their travel experience or their youth experience now, which I completely see both sides of that, because you can play devil's advocate on that, because the likelihood of a kid going to play college baseball somewhere is not very high. So this
like we
might
said,
be
over
their one opportunity.
It's 90%, right? 90% aren't. You know, just be that. So absolutely have those experiences while you can, for sure.
Do you have a fail forward moment? You have something you thought was going to set you back, but looking back now, it helped you move forward? Could be professional, could be personal. Yeah.
Well, I mean, right when I started at Redlands, we just weren't very good. And it took me 4 years to kind of build Redlands. I mean, we had 4 straight losing seasons, and we got a little bit better, but there's definitely times where I'm going, do I know what the heck I'm doing? I mean, am I really, can I do this? I thought that I could coach and help kids, understand the game and put us in position, just to win, 50% of the time. So early on, absolutely going, gosh, do I know what I'm doing? And then even when things fail for you, I think one of the things that I've always gone back to is just work hard, and sometimes it's not even the right thing. Sometimes you work hard on the wrong thing, but you don't know it's the wrong thing, until, okay, well, then you failed, and then go, okay, that wasn't the right thing. Let's change it up. But if you were, the key was if you were working hard, because your players see that too. If you're not giving up and going, okay, this is what we tried. Well, it didn't work, so let's go to plan B. Let's go to C. Let's go to plan Z, whatever it might be. So I think, definitely early on going, gosh, we're not having success like I thought we would. Do I know what I'm doing? But it just kept going back to going, hey, what
point was it like, okay, I think we're going in the right direction? We've all been in situations that are some of it's out of your control. Yeah. But at what point was it like, okay, this is starting to move, the needle's starting to move in the right direction?
It was year 4 at Redlands when we finally, broke through and broke the 500 mark. I think we finished 21-19, but we had a really tough part of the season at the beginning, but we played well. And then we had maybe some, better matchups as we went down towards the end of our season and really started taking care of business. And so starting to, this beating some of the teams you think you should beat. As you're going through, you wish everybody has good competitive teams, but sometimes it doesn't happen, and doesn't mean everybody is not working hard or whatever. But we got to a point where we started beating the teams that we should beat, and I think that was the key. Because then the next year, everyone knew that we were getting better, but boy, we won the conference for the first time. I mean, we really just took off. And so it was that 4-year mark, getting your own players in, now starting to have some success, and beating the teams that you're supposed to beat.
Did opposing coaches treat you any different once you started to beat them?
Oh, absolutely.
My dad said it all the time. Everybody loves you when they're kicking your butt. Everybody loves you.
Yep. And so then it started, different things started to get more heated or controversial or whatever. So, when they're still beating you up, hang in there, you'll get them going. But then
that's
once
elite mindset too, though. Like because life's going to hand it to you, and that's why I love the game of baseball, because it teaches you a lot about life. It teaches you a lot about yourself as a person, because you are going to get tested. And I just think that's an elite mindset of, even when it's giving it to you a little bit, and you said work hard, but also as a coach, then how do you know, okay, these are the core things that work for us, but we might have to tweak some things here and there?
Yeah. Well, and that's part of just being in coaching for a while too, and just listening to what the players are doing. My favorite example of this, it's pretty funny. When I started coaching at Redlands, I was old fashioned. You had to wear stirrups. You had to wear pants with, elastic in them. You had to show 3 inches stirrup. You had to show some of your stirrup. And that was one of my things, and then the pants started coming in where they're, you got pants that hit your shoes. I'm like, we're not buying pants that hit your shoes. That's stupid. This ain't baseball. That's not baseball. But then it got to a point where, excuse me, where I I had to special order the elastics, and so it was costing me more money. Where everybody's normal pant was just a pant, and so I'm like, well, okay, well, maybe it's time for me to change, and so I think we all have those moments as we continue to grow older as coaches to go. Some are obviously much more dramatic than that with technology, which we've already talked about, and some of those things. But that's my favorite one, is going, well, it just and it set the tone for me as I go, well, maybe that's not as important as what I thought it was, way back when, because now you can't even, like I said, you can't even buy. You have to special order the elastic pants. All the stock pants are the ones that hit your shoes. So I'm like, all right, well, I guess we're going to go this way now, And so same thing with, like I said, with technology and all those things. That's, you've got to be cognizant of what the player's receiving before they get to you, and what they want to try and help them be the best player they can be.
What have you enjoyed about being on the ABCA board?
Oh gosh, everything. The camaraderie, the people, getting to know all the different coaches, being involved, getting on the Hall of Fame committee and dealing with those coaches that are just great people. Getting to know, some of the coaches that, Coach Corbin, Coach Schlossnagel, some of the icons, that you see, and see that they're just really people too. They're just baseball guys, but then you guys, I mean, we can't, as a board, we can't, rave, enough about, the staff that you guys have there, all the guys, just the work that you guys put in is just, it's so neat, to be a part of that.
I like it because you see that everybody in their own way is dealing with something.
Yep.
Like, I don't care what level of baseball it is, someone is dealing with something.
Yep. Nope, absolutely.
In their own way. I don't care if it's up here. Like, everybody in their own way as a coach of any level of baseball is dealing with something that maybe the other level doesn't have to deal with. Like, and right. Everybody's got their positives and negatives at every level that they're at. And I think that's the one thing that I take out of it every year is that they're all dealing with something.
And it's one of the reasons that I like being at Division III, because we still have our issues, but I don't have to worry about it on a global Division III level. That's the beauty of Division III, is I can just take care of myself. And if I do that and just worry about what I need, hey, I need a 3.9. Well, if they're not 3.9, that's okay. But when you're looking at the bigger levels where you're talking about scholarship compensation and all those things, those are difference makers, into how a program can be run. You know that as good as anybody. And so, that's the beauty of Division III, is that we're not connected as much as Division I's, the scholarship programs are, because if you're just not funded, you're in trouble. Division III, if you struggle for funds, you can go raise some, you can make some things your own, and still be successful.
What are some final thoughts before I let you go?
I just love being part of this community. The coaching community has just been so awesome. We all know you go places and meet new people, and but just get drawn in by the coaching community and all the things that's afforded me over my coming on 29th year, 3 years as assistant at UCR, so going to be my, coming on close to 30 years of college coaching, and just all the memories, but the friendships and the things that we've been able to do for players, whether as an assistant or as a head coach. It's a neat thing.
Thanks for your time, Lav. It's always a pleasure.
Awesome, buddy. Thank you.